Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope you all are doing well today. Elliot here. Welcome back to The Fragrance Well. So we're going to do another iteration of my masculine notes series. I haven't done any in a while, to be honest. The topics I've covered in terms of masculine notes, I feel like I've covered the most generic ones. What was it? Green notes, tobacco, and I think I did leather, right? Today we're going to do citrus notes. The thing about citrus is not really masculine or feminine. It kind of depends on what it's being used with. So I feel like that maybe wouldn't be considered a masculine note, but you know what? I changed my mind. I said, you know what? There are great masculine fragrances that feature citrus. Why not talk about them? Add them to this series. So we've got 8 fragrances here today that I think exhibit citrus notes in a masculine way. And yes, it is unfortunately going to be based off of what the citrus is paired with, but that's neither here nor there. We're still going to talk about it. So let's go ahead and get it started. But before we do, as always, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you do like the content, and please hit that bell icon and enable notifications so you can be notified when I upload new videos. Let's get into it. All right, guys, first up, coming from the house of Hermes, this is going to be Terre D'Hermes Eau de Toilette. Hermes Terre D'Hermes Eau de Toilette. So if you know the nickname by many for this fragrance, earthy, dirty orange, that should tell you right there that it is going to be orange flavoring in terms of the citrus notes in this. I believe the official given notes are orange and grapefruit, if I'm not mistaken, but this is going to be a very smoky, earthy vetiver fragrance, a little bit green in the background, quite peppery as well. So that is what basically takes this fragrance in a 100% masculine direction, in my opinion, mixing with that orange and that grapefruit that is used for the citrus. This is a wonderful masculine fragrance, in my opinion. It's a masterpiece, modern day classic as far as I'm concerned. That bitter, earthy smokiness that this has does turn some people off, but at the end of the day, I don't think anybody would say that this fragrance smells feminine to them. This is a citrus fragrance that is undeniably masculine. Although you could say that, you know, the citrus plays an important role, but maybe the fragrance overall is not citrus based, but I do think that orange, that dirty orange characteristic that this fragrance has is what puts this in a citrus category for me. Once again, from the house of Hermes, this is Terre D'Hermes Eau de Toilette. Next one is going to be coming from the house of Guerlain. This is Guerlain Homme Eau de Parfum. Guerlain Homme Eau de Parfum. I know there's an Eau de Toilette version of this. I have no idea what it smells like. I don't have it. So, citrus, first of all, in this is going to be mostly lime flavored, probably some bergamot in this. It's usually what gives off the lime in most fragrances. It is paired with mint. And it kind of smells a little bit like a mojito. I do think there's a rum accord in this as well, so kind of boozy in that mojito direction for me. It doesn't smell exactly like one, but put you in the mindset of one. And then there's florals in this, and woods and musk pretty much at the base, and it does definitely have a masculine leaning edge to it. Matter of fact, it might, to some people, they might even think this smells a little bit dated, but I do think this is presented in a traditional Homme fragrance style. Definitely has that just woody masculine edge to it that also has a little bit of a cleanliness to it. This one though, this has a little bit more character by way of that mojito vibe that it has, but undeniably the citrus in this definitely plays a role in the makeup of this fragrance, and it is masculine leaning. Once again, from the house of Guerlain, this is Homme Eau de Parfum. All right, next one's coming from the house of Bond number 9, and this is going to be the Scent of Peace for Him. Bond number 9, the Scent of Peace for Him. If you're familiar with the Scent of Peace line, you know there's a for him because there's a for her, and there's also like a naturals one or something like that. So, interesting fact on this fragrance before I start to talk about it. Supposedly this fragrance is back ordered up to a year and a half in some places. Apparently whatever they were using to kind of create the pineapple accord in this, there's either was a bad harvest or just a backup of the harvest, and supposedly the whole thing is on back order for that long because either the owner or creative director or whoever does not want to change it. Essentially, they don't want to reformulate it. So just FYI on that. I don't know how true that is, but I did hear it from a Bond number 9 representative. So that's an interesting fact about this fragrance. Anyway, what you got in here, kind of a pineapple accord. There's bergamot for sure. It has this very watery cooling effect because there's also quite a bit of juniper in this fragrance. I know people like to compare this to a Ventus. I think it walks its own path, but you could say it's a Ventus inspired. A little bit more musky on the dry down with this one. I think there's some clean vetiver in this as well. Definitely masculine leaning, and the citric element of this absolutely plays a role in the makeup of this scent, hence it being kind of an Aventus inspired fragrance. That would make sense. So yes, this one here, lovely scent for that profile. Definitely gives you a citrus based choice with a cooling gin like effect with that juniper. It doesn't smell like gin, but you know, juniper is used to make gin. So once again, from the house of Bond number 9, this is the scent of peace for him. All right, next one's coming from the house of Dior, and this is going to be Homme Sport. This is the 2021 release, the latest Dior Homme Sport. So Dior Homme Sport 2021. Now, one thing about this fragrance, now it does smell very similar to the Dior Homme 2020 release, which does have citrus elements to it, but to me that's a lot more woody than anything, where this one, citrus is turned way up, very sharp lemon-like citrus, mixing with some aldehydes that kind of adds to that sharp, cool cleanliness that this has, but it also definitely still retains the woodiness. It's just presented in a fresher way. One thing for sure about this, definitely masculine, undeniably. I don't think anybody can argue that. Definitely in an Homme style fragrance, especially when you think about Homme style fragrances relative to the house of Dior. And in particular, you can't deny that that citric element of this is an important makeup of the fragrance. Pink pepper, I believe, is in this as well. That also plays a role into helping with that sharp freshness that this has, but it's primarily a lemon style citrus. Also, I think there's elemi resin in this, and that plays a role into it as well. So once again, from the house of Dior, this is Dior Homme Sport 2021. All right, next one's coming from the house of Orto Parisi. This is gonna be Bergamask. Orto Parisi Bergamask. Two things about this scent. Number one, bergamot is the citrus of choice in terms of the citric element of this fragrance. And number two, this is undeniably masculine. Pretty much combining bergamot and musk, right, as the name does imply. A little bit of an alumalic touch to the musk here, particularly if you smell it up close, but in the air is where the magic happens with this scent. That bergamot kind of fresh nature that this fragrance has, it sticks around for the entire life of the fragrance. So definitely some molecules being used in this, a little bit more of an artificial take on the ingredients of this fragrance, hence why it lasts so long. This is an all-day, very powerful room-filling scent. You can't overspray this, but definitely features citrus in an appealing way, and also it's very, very masculine. I don't think anybody would smell this and think that a woman wouldn't necessarily choose to wear this over a man. I'm not saying a woman can't wear this, but to me this has a masculine edge to it, especially with that slight animalic tinge that it has with the muskier notes that this has. Once again, from the house of Orto Parisi, this is gonna be Bergamask. Okay, next one's coming from the house of Roja Parfums, and this is Isola Blu. Roja Parfums, Isola Blu. So, I've talked about this one a lot lately. I'm trying to move on from it, but it keeps landing into my video categories that I keep picking. And this one, I have to include it because it definitely features citrus and definitely does it in a masculine way. So you kind of got all the citruses here. I get notes of orange, I get notes of lemon, maybe even some lime. There's probably a good amount of bergamot in this as well. And also it is combined with aromatic notes, spicy aromatic notes. You definitely got lavender. There's probably some other notes like thyme and things like that, and woods, clean woods, and musky accords. Kind of just the myriad of notes that Roja tends to use in fragrances like this. I think they're all here and definitely presented in a masculine way. Yes, it's marketed as unisex, as many Roja fragrances are, but I think this one definitely smells like a man, a fresh, juicy citrus, clean man, in my opinion. Modern man, but also one that is, you know, maybe having a little bit of fun. I do consider this a good vacation scent as well, but also just a good office business scent. Kind of covers all those bases while featuring citrus. So once again, from the house of Roja Parfums, this is Isola Blu. Next up, coming from the house of Xerjoff, this is Neo. Xerjoff Neo. I believe I mentioned it in one of my other masculine notes videos. Some of these are gonna have crosstalk. I believe this one was featured in the green notes masculine video because this fragrance does have a lot of green accords in it, but The thing that I think attracts most people to this scent is the bergamot in the opening. It's a very fresh, slightly spicy, but also green opening, but the citric element of it definitely plays a role into how this scent comes across. You could make an argument that the citrus fades a little bit as the fragrance goes along, but I think if it didn't have that citric element, the fragrance just would not be what it is. So bergamot for sure, green notes, a little bit of clean spiciness to it, kind of a clean woody base as well. Just an awesome, really fresh scent that definitely features and highlights citrus in my opinion, and in my opinion also definitely does it in a masculine way. So once again, from the house of Xerjoff, this is Neo. Alright, and the final fragrance for this list is going to be coming from the house of Mancera, and this is Vetiver Sensuel. Mancera Vetiver Sensuel. Another fragrance that keeps popping up on the list because it just fits so well with them. But this one here definitely highlights citrus right off the bat. I call it this kind of myriad of juicy citrus notes. Kind of feels like citric water, or water that has infused citrus in it with like oranges and limes and lemons infused into the water. This kind of smells like that to me. A little bit of mint freshening this up as well. The vetiver in here is very clean, kind of that clean grassy vetiver, clean woody vetiver, not overly damp, not overly dirty or smoky. Easy to wear version of a vetiver fragrance, highlighting citrus with it. To me, I do think this leans masculine. This one might blur the lines the most out of the fragrances I featured, to me at least. You could say that a woman could wear this. I do think though that it definitely has an overly masculine leaning smell, but maybe just, you know, a little bit closer to that unisex line, but still more masculine than it is anything else, but definitely has the citric element as well, so I think it just had to be on this list. Once again, from the house of Mancera, this is Vetiver Sensuel. Alright guys, that is going to do it for this list. Appreciate you watching all the way into the end, and hey, leave a comment down below. What are some of your favorite masculine leaning citrus fragrances? Looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say. So, please remember to be well and smell well, and I'll see you in the next episode of The Fragrance Well. Have a good one.